take a short break, and then finish up close to 7:30. We'd also love to go over how to share your results, and we also have prizes. So again, welcome everyone. We are Our Ladies Philly, a chapter of Our Ladies Global, a worldwide organization that promotes gender diversity in the art community and in data science. We warmly welcome all individuals who share our values and follow our code of conduct, as well as those who have an interest in data science regardless of skill level. We encourage everyone to join the Slack community where you have access to our help and more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to view recordings of past events, and consider signing up as a volunteer, speaker, or mentor. All skill levels are welcome. We want to thank our sponsors, our consortium, and Independence Media, and also check out our Twitter page at Our Ladies Philly. We have a few announcements. We have shared a link for upcoming R conferences for 2023 for those interested. If you're going to any cool conferences this year, let us know in the chat. We love to hear about it. We also have a link for upcoming Our Ladies meetups for any chapter. We'd also love to welcome Michelle to the organizing team. Welcome, Michelle. With that being said, I'd like to pass it to Corey and Philly Rug.
Hello, I'm Corey. I organized the Philly Rug. We kicked off back in January 2022 and are also sponsored by the Art Consortium, basically just to provide local to Philly way. We have folks join from across the country, but primarily to provide a local to Philly way to learn R from other R users. We have a few links here. You can find us on Meetup. We try to host a couple events a month, typically one focused on a TidyTuesday dataset and another focused on sort of a specific toolkit, like maybe a Shiny or Tidy models. So yeah, you can see our events on Meetup. If you want to talk about R, you can join our Discord. Please hop on and boost engagement there. Love to see you. And then we also have a GitHub. So if you want to contribute, or if you just want to learn whatever you want to do, feel free to poke around our GitHub, see what we've been up to, and we'd love to have you on our calls to contribute and share your knowledge and talk about the things you're interested in, because if you're here, you're interested in them. So we'd love to hear from you. I think we can jump to the next slide, a couple minutes ahead of schedule here to talk about Tidy Tuesday. So what is Tidy Tuesday? I think a lot of you guys are probably familiar, but basically, the Art for Data Science community weekly publishes a data set, real world data set, I think is the intent, to give an avenue for folks to work on their data wrangling, manipulation, visualization, modeling skills, ton of different stuff, super variable in terms of what the data is. So, I mean, we've seen a whole bunch of different text data, geospatial data, sales data, time series data, panel data. So depending on what you're trying to get better at, there's probably a data set in the archives that you can work with. We, like I mentioned, host a Tidy Tuesday event once a month, which is a super low barrier to entry way to come learn R with other interested folks. So even if you've never used any Tidyverse package before, if you're not super familiar with what mutate is or what the pipe is, we'd love to have you to talk about it and learn together. So we can jump forward and talk a little bit about inspiration. So a couple really good channels here. David Robinson really does traditional Tidy Tuesday work, so getting better at manipulation, wrangling, stuff like that. I'm slightly less familiar with his stuff than Julia Silgi's, but he does some really cool like EDA deep dives on these data sets. It's a great use of time to check out some of his videos. And then Julia Silgi, she works for our studio on Tidy Models, which is a package that I use a lot and I'm a big fan of, and posts monthly-ish blog posts and videos that showcase stuff that you can do with Tidy Models on Tidy Tuesday Data. Really cool stuff, and I strongly recommend for anyone who's interested in modeling or learning how to work with data in general. Jump ahead. Okay. And then tweets, Twitter, Mastodon as well. If you look under the Tidy Tuesday hashtag, lots of people posting both code, visuals. So it's a great place to go if you're looking for inspiration, you want to learn more about what other people are doing with the data set. I know in Philly Rug, there have been a bunch of situations where we get a data set, text data often, because I don't really know how to work with it. It's definitely a rare skill set. We get some text data and it's like, what do we want to do here? So we'll just jump over to Twitter or to Mastodon, or folks on the call who are using that platform, and we'll sort of see what other people are up to, and use that as a source of inspiration for what we might want to do. So this is a great place to go as we sort of proceed through the coding section of this to see if you want to, come up with ideas for what could be done next. Here's just a listing of some of the data sets that have been released so far in 2023. So as you can see, there's some really interesting stuff. We've got, we had a poll go out. I don't know if we're going to share that. We can get to it later. Sort of seeing what everybody wanted to work on. So there's some really cool stuff in here, art history data, and all of these sort of come with an accompanying article. So, or information about what the data set is and why we're using it. The bird feeder watch data is really cool. It's got a really nice scientific article about the history of how that data was constructed and why, and how it's being used in practice. So if you're looking for a really good example of Tidy Tuesday and sort of where this data comes from, that's a good place to look. But yeah, this is what they put together so far for 2023. Okay, we're going to cover this a little bit. I think there was a Google Doc linked above or somewhere, maybe below, that has this code as well. But basically, if you want to work with Tidy Tuesday data, you can hop over to the Tidy Tuesday repo, and you'll see a couple lines here. So they have a Tidy Tuesday package that'll let you load in based on either a date, or you can specify the year and week. I tend to use the bottom approach here, which is just read CSV and then point it to the URL. But you got a couple different options in terms of how you want to grab the Tidy Tuesday data we're going to work with today. Okay, let's go. I do not have control of screens. Oh, cool.
Yeah, cool. I can take over and share the poll, and then we can start to split up and stuff if you want. Does that work for you, Jessica?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I will share. Cool. All right. Can people see this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll reload it in case this isn't dynamic. I don't actually know how these work. All right. 26 responses, which is pretty good. I think we have about 26 people on. So love to see that we have a lot of people here who are like interested in participating and observing and learning and stuff. That's awesome. Okay. And now when it comes down to what data set are people interested in working on, disappointed to see that no one wanted to work on Hollywood age gaps for Valentine's Day, but it looks like the #1 result was pet cats. And then #2 would be big tech stock prices. So I think, and then there were not too many, people are really into the cat data. I'm a little terrified of the cat data, to be fair though, because it's like geospatial data. So if someone wants to come teach me how to plot the kitty cats, please, let's do it. But I think what we're thinking now is, since we have a pretty good group, what would be fun to do would be to split into 2 teams, where basically I can take one breakout, Corey, you can take one breakout, and people can self-assign to basically group 1, if you want to look at the pet cat data, group 2, if you want to look at the tech stock data. And then I guess if they're really uneven, maybe we'll think about rebalancing, or people can move around from room to room if you want to see what one room is working on versus another room. And then the idea can be people can volunteer to share their screen. We can start off and kind of like load in the data, come up with a couple ideas, come up with some starter code, and then we will kind of let people go and say, okay, I'm going to work on some idea, add a few variations, work on some stuff together, and then we can come back. And then at that point, the goal is that if people can share some of their work, whether it's something you did previously independent of this, or as a variation of what we're doing together, or some other idea, if you share anything, we will enter you into our very official random number generator poll raffle to win a prize. And we have a few good prizes, which will be given out for people who are participating. So yeah, it looks like people are saying they can share stuff they did with the age gap data. I think that sounds great. Let's start, let's split into 2 rooms, and then maybe we can say one room will focus on pet cats, the other room will look at stock prices and age gap data. And we can kind of like, I wish the prizes were going to be tickets to POSIT Comp. I think we should say the prizes are more on the order of magnitude of a pack of hex stickers. Okay. This has probably like, I'm listening, you know, upwards of 20 stickers, which I will be mailing out. I think we have some sort of O'Reilly book gift card in the works as well. So you can buy a book. We have this custom R-Hex pouch, which is like a pouch that you could use to put your iPad in, or some makeup, or a notepad, or some pencils. So this is very fancy R swag that we have as prizes. So participation is encouraged. Okay. Yeah, sorry, next year we'll work on Posit sending us tickets to conference instead of stickers. Cool. Okay, let me see if I can work out then as host setting up 2 rooms. Back. Okay, how'd it go with the other room?
Really well. We learned how to make maps. Thank you, Anna. That was awesome.
Cat maps. Okay. So I think maybe then a good thing to segue to would be, I think right now on the order of business is, let me share then. If you recall, we have this doc that we shared that everyone had a link to, this kind of Q&A document with some information. So I think what I would say is maybe we can set a 5-minute, maybe 10, I don't know what people want, break, where you can also have time for, if you want to add here, share your work. I think, for example, I just put a screenshot of the plot we made in room 2, I think, where we made a plot here of stock prices over time, and we compared big tech stocks to healthcare stocks. And so, you know, Chris shared some stuff too. So Chris could, you know, put in here a screenshot and be like, you know, Chris's screenshot, and then add it here. And so basically, if you want to be entered in to win a prize, you can add a line of code, a screenshot of your code, anything that you want to share, maybe that you learned today or that you're thinking about doing, add it to this document, and then we can come back and we can kind of like do a fun quick show and tell. And then that way you will be entered to win the prize. And if you win the prize, I will need like an email to follow up with you, but I can follow up about that. Okay, how about this? How would I start a, what do we search for? Timer? We'll start a timer on here. Timer, what do we think? 5 minutes?
Yeah, probably 5 is good.
All right. It started. Okay. Cool. So thinking about what we were talking about doing before, I think let's see if we can come back here and share some work, and hopefully Corey will come back so he can talk about some stuff too. But all right, let's go through and see if anyone was able to add anything. All right. So as we said, room 2, this was the plot we made together. Oh, it looks like people are actively adding stuff. Awesome. Okay. And so this was my contribution, which was trying to add healthcare data to the existing data. I feel like someone is actively adding in there. Cool. So this was how we made a map for cats. Does someone want to talk about this?
Yeah. So for this, I didn't post all of the data. But basically we took the cat data and combined data for speed and location with attributes for each cat. And those are connected by this variable called tag ID. And we combined those and then geocoded the data based on latitude and longitude. And this is the code that we use to plot the cats by their speed on a base map of the UK.
So if I'm remembering correctly, the speed data though was these cats were going the speed of light. Like this speed is not, the units are wrong, right?
We didn't get quite that far.
Okay, if you look at the values, I looked at the values and some of them were like 300,000 meters per second or something, which is like, I think the speed of sound is 300 meters per second. So those cats either had a data collection problem or they were very, very fast cats.
Or they're from the future.
They're future cats. I think it's probably correct data. It's just the units might be wrong.
I just saw 2,000
Oh.
meters per second and I was like, that's not miles per hour. So
Yeah, I think, right, isn't the speed of sound like 300 or something? It's not that, that's pretty fast. Okay, it looks like there's
cats very fast.
a post in the chat which says either the units were reported erroneously or there is an issue with the sensor data. Okay, this is awesome. Thanks, Anna. This is really cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then Chris, it looks like this was your plot.
Yeah. I took some screenshots of the graph window just to have something to look at, and I also posted the script that did all of it. Yeah, zoomies. Yes, this person has a cat or more.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have 3, so we're very familiar with that. Yeah, so like I said, this is the I got kind of curious. Well, that's actually both of them. So like I said, it's kind of fun when you don't have to worry about the other axes. So this is just kind of getting a feel for what the age difference data is, going from the as time goes on for release year. Interesting notes there are that the variability, future cats, yes, variability in age versus the number of movies that were produced in that release year, and you can kind of see the red, which is the age, and the blue line kind of cross, and it gets tighter around the red line as you start to get a lot more movies. Not at all sure what that means, but it's kind of fun to look at. So scroll down a little bit more, please. This is a different one. I did a little work in there to try to did a little work in there to try to figure out, whether the male actor or male character was older than the female character, and then took a look at the number of movies that were done for each one of them as you got through release year. And then third graph is cat named Morpheus. Yes, in the future, yes, in the Matrix. Mean age difference by release year. So just kind of fun to take a look at that big outlier that they have there. That's Harold and Maude that I mentioned before. Anybody that hasn't seen that, go see it. It's really kind of fun. If you took that out, it would probably look a little bit more, kind of like you would expect, where in Hollywood they make movies where the male character is older than the female character, except for the ones that were done around what looks like 1955 or 60, very experimental phase. If you go down a little bit further, there's the actual code that did it. So if you find a mistake, enjoy. This is really neat, just playing with the data and having fun with the data set.
I love it. That's the point. Awesome. It looks like Trang, you put in a plot about the cats. Do you want to say a couple words?
I did. Well, Anna did a fantastic job on the map, so I just put my regular geom count plot here. But basically, I was curious, kind of, if they, hunt more as they get older or less. But it seems like there's no correlation whatsoever as they age. So it seems like the average cat hunts, if they do, like around what, 3 or 4 animals per month.
Wow.
Yeah,
What's the y-axis there?
this is prey per month.
So this
Those
was
look-
like owners reported and they were like, my cat caught 4 birds this month or something.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Do we have any-
We were talking about if we knew kind of what type of animal they hunt, what kind of preys there are. It would be interesting, kind of like, how fast the preys are, like whether it's a rabbit or a raccoon or something. Not a raccoon, but bird or something.
I can tell you some of that. One of our cats brings in occasional legless lizard or glass snake, lots and lots of mice and rats, birds once in a while, and one actually brought in an owl that got away. I've got a picture of that. I've got a picture of the owl sitting on the shower curtain rod in the master bathroom, which is my profile pic at work.
All right, does anybody else have something they want to add to the document, or even just say out loud, like, you know, I worked on this? Anything else you want to add or share before we move on to the next section? We're good? All right. I will say, basically, if you want to be eligible for a prize, you can email. I think that's how we're going to do it. Is basically email me afterwards. I'll put some information in the chat. Okay. Cool. So with that, I think to wrap up the meetup, I just had a couple slides to follow up, which would be kind of a plug on, if you are interested. Can people still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, if you are interested in nominating a data set, because you think I have a really cool data set, I've been collecting data on my pet cats or my pet birds or whatever over the last 20 years, and I have all this data, or I know of this other project, and TidyTuesday hasn't done it before, then you should consider nominating a data set, because I think they are always looking for data sets. And so I think one thing I will say is I will talk about this because I nominated a data set last year and it was fun. So the way to do this is basically just through their GitHub. So r4datascience/TidyTuesday. The way to do it is to submit an issue. So if you go on the issues, you can see, first of all, you should search and see if the data that you're thinking of has already been a TidyTuesday, because then it's very unlikely to be one again. But you can go on and see, like, okay, what are the data sets that have been submitted? What do they look like? What are people putting in these information in the issues as far as the information that's needed? They have a good page here on how you can submit a data set. And basically, the best way to do it is to submit information around the data set and anything that might exist, like a blog post, article, Kaggle, etc., about it. And the best way to do it also is to just provide the data in the easiest way possible. So I think I just have these tips here, which is that if the data is very, very hard for somebody to work with, like, oh, I know of this data set, it's really cool, but it's this like SQL database that you have to have credentials for or anything like that, like that's not going to work. Ideally, it's like 1 or 2 data sets that can be easily downloaded as CSV files, right? That's the standard kind of TidyTuesday thing. And you have to provide as well a data dictionary, so your column names and everything are very easy to understand. The third thing would be to try to make the data set something that's of broad interest. So I shared a link here to an example data set that I submitted last year, which is I pulled data from this website called Ravelry, which is a yarn. It's like a knitting website for people who like to knit or crochet. And so the database on a bunch of different yarns and features of those yarns, the price of the yarns, the ratings of those yarns. So I would say that this probably is very borderline on the broad interest category, because I don't think a lot of people know or care about fiber arts and yarn, but it was interesting enough to people to be submitted as a TidyTuesday data set. So I just say, if you're interested and you think you have a data set that might be of broad interest and could be a CSV file, I would consider kind of assembling that data into an easy to use CSV file and then submitting it as an issue. And all you really need is that CSV and the data dictionary and information on where the data came from. And I guess the final tip would be make sure that the data is free to use for educational purposes. You should, like, if it's coming from some sort of source of any kind, you can just email them and confirm that it would be open to educational use. Cool. With that, maybe Jessica or Corey, do you want to say anything as kind of like, yeah, I was gonna say, yes, please. Thanks, Michelle, for putting in the chat the email. If you participated and you shared something, send us over an email and we will do a raffle. And then I will follow up by email to get like addresses and stuff so that they're not like shared in this public forum to follow up for prizes. Corey, Jessica, anything you want to plug for upcoming events at Philly Rug or with Our Ladies that we should plug now before we close the event?
Real quick, yeah, we don't have anything scheduled at the moment, but we do run these every month. So please come by, join. work with us, learn with us. Would love to have you. And thanks, Alice, Jessica, everybody else at Our Ladies Philly for co-hosting this with us. It's awesome. Thanks again.
Yeah,
We will
awesome.
be- oh, sorry. We will be having an event May 17th on casual forest interference related to market research with Ali from Drexel University. So that is, I'll make a meetup for that soon.
Okay, awesome. So basically keep an eye out on our meetup page and we will be posting some new events soon.
And then there might be a prize from O'Reilly, a book or a coupon code. So that look out for that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. If anyone else has anything that they want to plug R related, put it in the chat. And hopefully people can find things that way. And I think if that's everything, am I forgetting anything?
I think we're good.